storm show. Ay, it's a storm show.
Now, I know a lot of y'all watched that Netflix movie about Madam C.J. Walker and her life and was pissed because y'all felt like it was a lot of shit left out of the story that should have been told and a lot of stuff added into the story just to basically make it more dramatic, especially her relationship with that Addie Malone or Monroe, whatever they ended up giving her in the movie. Now, Addie Malone is actually Annie Malone, the real life woman that Madam C.J. Walker actually learned from. So let me tell you a little bit about Annie, her real connection with Madam C.J. Walker, so that we can leave away from this video learning the shit that we actually should have learned in a damn movie. Moving right along. Now, Annie Malone was born Annie Minerva Turbo in Metropolis, Illinois, which is near the Indiana border on the east side of Illinois. Her parents died at a young age, so she ended up being raised by her older sister, and she graduated from high school in Peoria, Illinois. While she was in Peoria, she started developing these hair care products for black women, and she developed a system that could straighten black hair that wouldn't damage it, because before her, black women were using all kinds of different kind of products to try to straighten their hair, and it would damage it really bad. But Annie took shit into her own hands and decided to change it. Now, she got really inspired while she was in Peoria, Illinois. She said, you know what? I need to be somewhere where I can market my products and get access to a lot of people, because it ain't that many damn people in Peoria, Illinois. So she decided at a very young age to move to St. Louis, Missouri, and her products were a hit at the 1904 World's Fair. Now, I know a lot of you guys are like, well, damn, Storm, what's the big deal about St. Louis? Ain't shit there. I ain't never really heard of it. I think I might have drove through it at some point, but how can you say this is a booming city? And right now, it might not be, but keep in mind that back then, it actually was. Like, when I tell you St. Louis was the gateway to the West, it was the gateway to the West, and everybody went through there no matter who you were. Now, you also got a lot of famous celebrities that are from there, so that St. Louis food and water really does turn out stars, even if once they actually leave St. Louis, they don't claim it no more. Like Tina Turner, that's actually from East St. Louis on the Illinois side, but she just say St. Louis because she don't want to be talking about that shit. You know, Guy Torre, that's from St. Louis, by segue of Philadelphia. You got Nelly, that's from St. Louis, but he grew up in University City, which is a little bit north of St. Louis. You got Chingy, that's from Florissant, that's North County, St. Louis. Then you got Kamora Lee Simmons, also from Florissant, North County, St. Louis, off 270 Highway. I'm just saying, St. Louis turned out a lot of damn stars. They just leave that shit and never really claim it again. So moving right along, she ended up opening a store in St. Louis, as well as being really inspired once her products were a big hit at that World Fair. As a matter of fact, her first store was located on Madison and 4th Street, right in St. Louis. So then, once her shit was a hit at that World Fair, she started to travel around the South in order to recruit women to sell her products. She developed a system kind of like Avon Lady or Mary Kay, where saleswomen would go door to door and sell her product, get a commission off of it, while also learning the business and really learning about hair care as well. That is where she ended up recruiting Madam C.J. Walker, who was originally from Louisiana. Now, Madam C.J. Walker would go on to be credited in the history books as the first black woman of hair care, the first black woman to figure out how to straighten hair, and the first black female millionaire, but Annie did it first. Annie just ended up crumbling later on. Madam's name and her businesses pretty much stayed a success, which is why the history books favor Madam C.J. Walker and not Annie Malone. This whole beef between Annie Malone and Madam C.J. Walker, I don't really think it was a beef, but Annie did feel some kind of way once Madam C.J. Walker developed her own hair product system, which was somewhat similar to what Annie had created before. She pretty much honestly did feel like it was an imitation, but it was what it was. So what Annie ended up doing is rebranding her company by the name of Poro, P-O-R-O, which means like spirituality and individuality in like a West African language. So it was some dope meaning behind this name, but it would also end up being the beginning of a lot of troubles for Annie Malone. Now, Annie Malone, her story as a very successful black woman is the story of a lot of successful black women. She and her Achilles heel was a less successful black man that could not really stand by her side and support her the way that he should, right? Because for a lot of successful black women in 2020, they feel like they don't have a counterpart. And guess what? Shit wasn't really that much different back in the early 1900s. Now, her husband ended up getting really jealous of her filed for divorce and wanted 50% of Annie's business because he felt like that she would not have been successful if it was not for him. She spent a lot of money fighting her husband. His name was Aaron. Spent a lot of money fighting Aaron in court. She was able to retain 100% of her business, but had to pay out a $200,000 settlement to Aaron. Damn, you got $200K you want to get rid of, feel free to slide that shit my way. Then, after her divorce from Aaron, she still had property in St. Louis, but decided to move to Chicago and start more businesses and try to rebrand herself again, just like she did when she left Peoria in her early damn 20s. But once she got to Chicago, her businesses were not as successful as they were before. She was the victim of many, many lawsuits from past employees that felt like her success was theirs and they didn't get their fair share, even though working for a white man, you definitely wouldn't have got none of the shit and none of the perks that Annie gave you. But whenever you try to rise up, there's always crabs to bring you down, and every rich person, a business person, go through it. You get to a certain level, people will start to sue you. It's just what they damn do, because everybody wants a piece of the pie, even though they didn't put none of the ingredients in that bitch and buy the oven for that bitch, or even take the time to turn the temperature on the oven on to cook the bitch in the first place. But you want all this pie. Anyway, as time went on, she continued to fight lawsuits. She also owed back taxes, and the majority of her business and estate ended up being sold back to the government to pay back taxes. She died on May 10th, 1957 in Chicago, surrounded by her nieces and nephews because she never had biological children. All she had to pass on was $100,000 estate, which was split between her nieces and nephews, and that was her life. A woman that raised herself up from nothing, became a millionaire. Sad to say that sorry ass men and sorry ass Negroes ended up being her Achilles heel, and I just feel like she don't get a just due. You know, Madam C.J. Walker gets all the credit, but would Madam C.J. Walker be who she is if it was not for Annie Malone? You gotta credit the ones that help you along the way. So, y'all let me know what you think about that down below. I didn't want to bore you guys with like a 20, 30, 40 minute biography type of video. We don't normally do that on this channel, but I just wanted to let you guys know exactly who Annie Malone was. She was the first black female millionaire in St. Louis and in the damn country and of the 20th century who really took hair care and took this shit to a whole nother level. And her marketing system, Mary Kay borrowed from it, Avon borrowed from it, Madam C.J. Walker borrowed from it. It is what it is, and credit got to be given where it is due. All right, so like, comment, and subscribe, and share if you care for reviews, roast, prescriptions, and entertainment news updates and the like, and I will catch you guys. Escucha a Natreon Music on YouTube para la música latina con salsa, merengue, dopis, bachata y más. La música es para las personas hablar inglés y español. Now, to listen to Natreon's music, check out the link to his YouTube channel and the link to his IG page. It is all in the description box below.
It's Storm Show. Ay, it's Storm Show.